Hey guys, what's going on? I'm Adam from Olson Fitness. I'm here today with Amy Back
Hey.
Fit. So today we're gonna actually do kind of a little interview process with Amy here, because Amy had kind of a big transition when she came to the gym here. And basically Amy went from being a person who kind of worked out, most of her life, and then had her regular social weekends and stuff like that, to eventually I guess reaching a certain point where she was unhappy, and then coming into finding our gym, coming in here, and then transitioning over time into becoming a personal trainer. And we have this version of Amy Back Fit that we have today in front of us. So we're kind of going to talk about that, and hopefully this is helpful to some of you guys, listeners out there, people that are gym members here, people that are watching at home that are maybe doing some online training with us or whatever. And they can kind of listen to Amy's experience. Maybe you guys will hear this as motivation for your own training, or if you are becoming a trainer, what you can expect, et cetera, et cetera. So I guess we'll start with Amy telling us, her initial stuff about what she was doing with her life leading up to finding us, what she thought about the gym here. And you can kind of just give us kind of a synopsis of that part of your life. Where were you at in your weight? What made you seek out another gym from what you were already doing? And let's go from there.
All right. So when I first walked in here, I weighed 150 pounds. I came from LA Fitness Center. I've worked out since I've been 20 years old. So I've been into gyms all over, whatever's open, whatever closed, whatever, bouncing around, classes, stuff like that, mostly classes, doing some training on my own. And then I was just watching my weight rise, 148 pounds I think I saw on the scale, and then I was like, that's it, I'm done with that. So I had one of my friends say, I found this gym on Groupon, you want to come check it out?
This guy.
Boot camp gym type thing. And boot camp gym. So I said, yeah, let's go do it. We went away. I had started watching what I was eating. I was using my Fitness Pal at that point, but just calorie wise. So 1,200, 1,400 calories, I would limit myself on my own.
So when you were doing that, you were just going by the recommendations that my Fitness Pal gave you, based off of what, being a regular user, not really knowing a lot about diet or whatever. You're like, I'm just going to put this in,
exactly,
tell it I want weight loss, and just go.
Just pretty much what all of our clients do when they walk through the door.
Right.
That's exactly what they're doing.
Okay, so that's a key note right there. So she kind of just did what everyone else does.
Yep.
Used my Fitness Pals, hey, I'm going to do this.
Right, just to control myself. So 1,200 to 1,400 calories I would give myself. Eating very little carbs, almost no carbs at all. A lot of salads, which I still eat a lot of salads, but almost no carbs. 1,200, 1,400 calories. That's where I was. So I did that, walked in here with my friend, and really never looked back on that end of it. I lost 15 pounds doing that in 6 months. So 6 months.
So usually what happens when you go from, and I'm just going to talk about this from kind of cursory outlier, or the outskirts looking in science of what's going on. So when she went from whatever she was doing to found a place like us, I would like to say that, I'm not typical in terms of, a boot camp gym. I've had other clients here say you can't really call these boot camps because it's not really like a boot camp, because some of it's it's really more like large group training. But in that regard, the intensity is such a shift that her output became a much higher demand, and therefore what she was taking in as calories really sparked a lot of weight loss initially. And you'll have that even if you were just did nothing, and then you go from doing nothing to taking a 2-mile walk every day,
right,
that demand is going to create an illicit response. So that's just kind of a take-home note for you guys, and what she experienced just being a person who works out, and noticed that she was having weight gain. She started to kind of look at her food calorie-wise using my Fitness Pal, not knowing much about diet, and then coming into a gym where the intensity was really high, and then within 6 months lost 15 pounds. So from that point forward, then what was going on with you then? That was back in she started here like June of 17?
17.
June of 2017. So
Yeah.
6 months in, we're coming up on December now of 2017. So at that point, what was going on with you at home? Were there habits that were changing? Or everything was pretty much the same?
Everything was pretty much the same there. I wasn't, and then I stopped. I stopped losing. Still staying on the 1,200, 1,400 calories, I stopped losing. Then that's when we would have our little conversation, because he asked me, "What are you doing? What's your diet like?" That he does to every member. I've heard him say it to a lot of other people too in here. So he asked me. So go ahead, you say.
So all right, so typically what I do, like when I have people that are in here for a period of time, if people just sign up and they don't want to make the financial commitment to one-on-one training just yet, or not really even sure if they're going to stick with this or whatever, but they know that they need to do something and they need guidance, because most other big box gyms, LA Fitness, Planet Fitness, not to throw names under the bus, but that's what they do. Most of them don't really have programs that, offer consistent training for people. Like, yeah, you can go to classes, but unless you're motivated to go to classes, or that's what your gym does, is just classes or whatever, most people just kind of go in and they try out a few pieces of equipment and they walk on a treadmill for 30 minutes to an hour, and then after 3 months they lose motivation, and then they just start paying their membership fee every month and never really go to the gym. That's usually what happens. So what I do typically is, as people are here for a while and I see they're consistent, they keep coming, is I kind of start asking them what they're doing outside of here, like what their diet's like, do they do any other training anywhere else, what their work habits are like, so I can get an idea of what that person's long-term or short-term goals are and what happens. So Amy, she had been here for 6 months and she was having weight loss, and she was here about four days a week, consistently, sometimes 5, depending, maybe popping in on a Sunday or whatever. But she was here for a while, so periodically I would say, like, so what are you doing outside of here? What's your diet like? How's your progress been? So she told me she lost some weight, but we got to a point where she'd be like, I haven't really been losing, and things have been about the same.
I plateaued.
She pretty much plateaued, and she was like kind of fluctuating like 1 to 3 pounds. So we started to have this diet conversation, which was kind of like me just being like, so tell me about your diet. What are you doing? And she basically told you what she was doing, and I was like, you're not eating enough, and that was kind of like, I was like, you should really track, like count all your macros and start to like really get into that, so you really know what's coming in and going out. And what was your response to that?
So I tried to do that.
Just try it.
I tried. It's hard. It's not. Definitely is not easy. So I tried to listen to what he said. He never really gave me numbers at that point, but I tried as best I could. I was like, I did it for 2 days, and I was like, I can't do this. This is crazy. This is really a lot of work. But then I wanted to become personal trainer. So
what started that? Like,
so that's just. I guess that just has been always. Back from probably 8 to 10 years ago. I've been training since I've been 20. Okay. So in these classes, and I've taken classes. So the classes have been my thing, and I always was just saying I could do that. I want to do that. I like it. It's always been a passion of mine. So I didn't let anybody know what I was doing. I just did it all on my own. Only very close family and friends knew what I was doing. I didn't really want to hear anybody's opinion on why or what I was doing. I just wanted to do it for myself at that point. It was something that I wanted to do. I just had a goal to do it. So I did it.
You did it. So I heard about Amy's personal training thing. So she had been coming here for months now.
Yep,
I didn't know anything about it.
I was still here.
So I heard about it actually after she had already got her certification. And when was that?
That was October 2018.
So we're already we went all the way to December 2017 with the dieting thing. And then she was still attending here, still coming here, still doing her regular everyday stuff.
Yeah.
Kind of still stalling from the end of December all the way up until that time. Like we had probably 2-3 conversations about what her diet looked like and whatever up until that point. So at this point in time, you said that you kind of had enough at 148 pounds.
Yeah.
So if we're looking at like a 15-pound drop, so now we're like closer to like 135.
Right.
Right? Around that.
Yeah.
133, 135, in that range.
Yep, that's what I was when I took my test.
Right. So she takes her personal training test. I see that on Facebook, whatever. So I reached out to her and I'm like, hey, if you're interested in trying to get your feet wet in the gym, you're already here, you're already training, you know a lot of the people that are here already. If you'd be interested in coming on board and trying to learn to deal with clients, run some classes, see how that feels to you. We can start to work some things out. And that was kind of like the beginning of our talks in that realm. So
Right, that was November 2018.
all right, so November 2018. So we're doing like a whole
That's how long
timeline for
I've
you
been
guys.
here.
So November 2018, Amy Back becomes Amy Back Fit here at Adam Olson Fitness. And then the rest is kind of history, but that history is very important
Yeah.
because from that time, Amy has transformed from 135-pound stalled Amy eating 12 to 1,400 calories to the Amy you see here today.
Yeah.
So you want to
Yeah.
walk us through
So
that?
then January hits. I've been doing this personal training thing for just a couple months at that point, and I came to him again, for real, I like to say, this time.
For real, she
'Cause
was
the other-
ready.
I was ready. I guess I wasn't ready then. You got to be ready. You got to be ready mentally to do it because it's very difficult to do, and you have to want it just like anything else. So you have to want it for yourself. So January came to him and said, all right, bring it on. Let's do this diet thing. We sat down, did all my macros, protein, fat, carbs, all of it, and it was hard.
It was hard.
It was hard. It took me a month to get it.
So straight month of basically
1
like
month of being
learning how to
frustrated.
look at your food, how to weigh things, how to figure out what's going to fit in your day, when you were
Yeah.
blowing your fat out of the water,
Yeah.
or blowing your carbs out of the water, or under eating on protein,
Right.
all those
Never
days.
hitting the numbers.
And then after about a month, it started to click.
It started to click, right. And I'm in the same situation that a lot of my clients are in right now, where they're just like this, it's not gonna work, I can't do it, and they've told me that they've thrown their phone. I threw my phone a couple times. I will start over tomorrow, and every day I would just try to do it. I would see where the mistake was, because there's mistakes in your day that happen, and that you can fix. Okay, I can't have this that day, or this whatever. Basically, I tell my clients at this point that it is a giant puzzle, and you have to make the pieces fit in order for it to work. And if you can't do it Monday, then try Tuesday. If you can't do it Tuesday, try Wednesday. You just have to make it fit.
Yeah,
It's not easy.
It's a fall down 7, get up 8 times kind of thing.
Yeah.
So you're gonna, when you do this and you learn over time, you start to kind of figure out what your go-to foods are, like things that you typically either enjoy or you normally eat, or that you can tolerate, that fit in your day, that you're like, okay, I can eat that, or that'll
Yeah.
work, or whatever. And then eventually you kind of piece together what your life is going to look like. Now, a couple things for Amy, so like when this happened, like I told Amy, I was like, okay, so like we're going to start working out together, and we did. We started doing some like baseline workouts, and I started to really kind of give her a lot of form cues. Like, so
Yep.
if you guys are in the I Hate AOF group, you're starting to get a lot more of that stuff, like why you're doing certain things, what you should be thinking about, how you should think about your execution, and all that type of stuff. And stuff I don't, Amy can tell you as soon as I shut up, what she feels the difference was between working with someone like me as opposed to just going through the certification process of being a personal trainer. So if any of you guys are interested in hearing that, or are personal trainers or want to be personal trainers, it might be of interest to you. But similar to Amy, I worked with another trainer here, Jake, a lot on his form and his execution. And when Jake came here, he was the type of guy that would run outside and work out on playgrounds, so he came here and he didn't even know what half the equipment was in the gym. So that's like another thing to think about. Like if you're not really, you want to be a personal trainer, it sounds good and you like being active, but you're not really a gym rat. You might need to familiarize yourself with some equipment. But back to Amy, we had this conversation, we started working out every day, and then when we sat down and she was ready, like we started having like goals talks about like what she wanted to do, and like what were your goals then?
My goals then were just lose body fat, gain muscle mass, just like a lot of clients come in.
And train
say.
legs a little bit more.
And train legs a little bit more.
That was it.
That's
so
what I said. I would like to train legs a little bit more. And
exploded.
blew up.
So we turned into, we eventually gravitated more and more towards power building, which is a combination of powerlifting and bodybuilding. And we started getting into periodization and training blocks and all this stuff that I don't even know if she went over. I don't know if they went over, daily undulating periodization.
they do a little bit, but not like what I'm getting from you.
And then I don't know if, you know, how in depth with food. I don't really know how
They
much
touch
that
everything. They touch on everything a very little bit. It's up to you to then
really further your knowledge,
your
right?
education.
So keep that in mind, guys. Like if you're, you know, thinking of working with a personal trainer, or you are working with a personal trainer, like you don't really even know the extent of what they may or may not know, or how far they've walked in their own personal journey with education, knowledge, or even if they've done a show or competed. I don't know what your personal goals are, and that's all going to be specific between you and your trainer, because specificity is a big part of your training. You know, what are you training for? So Amy wanted to lose body fat, and you know, so we set her up on macros, and we started hitting the weights pretty hard. Like, you know, after I saw what she was doing, and she was like, brought me her numbers. Her initial numbers were like averaging around 1,300, 1,400 calories a day. You know, sometimes 12. You know, and I told her during our earlier conversations, I'm like, you're just not eating enough. Like, you're not eating enough. You're training too much. You're working out. You have your kids. You're doing all your household stuff. I was like, you just don't have enough food coming in to elicit a response
It's
anymore.
hard to hear.
So eating more is sometimes the answer, you know, and sometimes doing less cardio is the answer. And in Amy's case, those both were the answer. So, and we got Amy lifting a lot of weight, like squatting multiple times a week, deadlifting multiple times a week, you know, big strength gains. And you tell me what that was like for you, so they can kind of hear, like, you know, what happened with your food and what happened with your training for you. Like, you know, I mean, you can even talk about like some of the stuff where you used to felt like it was too much, how we used to argue about her squatting a lot, because sometimes we still do, but like, you know, that was like a big thing. So you can kind of fill them in on like the increases in food and what that was like for you.
Yeah,
And
I don't even.
no cardio.
I went all the way up to 2,100 calories, but I don't even know. He just basically took me slowly all the way up to maintenance, which was 2,100 calories. I don't know what my first numbers were. Probably close to 1,600, I would think. Starting.
I mean, when we first jumped.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when she started, she was eating like she said, somewhere between 12 and 1,400
yeah.
calories, and that was kind of her average when she brought me her numbers. And then, so what I did was we did a reverse diet, and a reverse diet is a process of like, you know, slowly adding food in order to elicit a response. Now, normally you would do a reverse diet to try to expand someone's metabolic capacity. Like, you can do that to try to get them to almost exercise your metabolism so you can handle more food and keep your body fat relatively low in relationship to the amount of calories you're taking in. What I did was exactly that for Amy, and I was like, okay, you're not going to do any more cardio. I was like, you're doing too much. I was like, we're going to work on building some muscle mass, you know, so you have like the look that you want, and we're going to, you know, people like to say toned. I don't like that, but you know, you want to have more of a toned look, which is a byproduct of losing body fat. And we're going to build some of that tissue up underneath there and really start to sculpt and structure a body, you know, of muscle. And that's what we did. So slowly brought food all the way. First we went to like 1,700 calories in there.
Yeah.
And every time I would do an increase of food, I'm like, this is a lot of food.
I'm going to gain weight.
Yeah, and she had the fear of eating carbohydrates, which most people have. And then, like, you know, she would get to a certain point. I'm like, just eat the food, just lift the weights.
And shut up.
And she got shut up a lot from me. I'm like, just shut up and just do the thing. And she did, you know, so like I have to give her like all the credit, you know, because it is very hard, one, to deal with me, and two, to deal with me when I'm telling you to do things that you are completely like the opposite of what you've been told to do. So eventually we got her up to like 2,100, almost 2,200 calories.
Which is a lot, which is fun.
Which is a lot of food. You know, going from someone that was like losing weight and thinking they were doing good, eating 1,300 when you're eating almost 800 calories more a day and doing no cardio and still losing weight.
I was losing weight through the whole time.
Yep, all the way up till about 22. Then we started to hit what maintenance is. And just so if you guys don't know, maintenance calories are the calories that you ingest that are equivalent to the amount of your output is. And your output is your total daily energy expenditure, TDEE. You guys can Google that if you want. And so we got to that point and we were starting to hover where her weight was starting to actually go back in the other direction. So again, we had to have a goals conversation. And at that point, we're kind of there now. That actually started maybe almost 3, 4, or 5 months ago now at this point.
Yeah.
And we had to talk again, like, so what do you want to do? You lost all this weight, you lost all these inches, you lost all this body fat, which when we started, she's got her numbers right here.
Yeah.
When we started,
Yeah.
and this is not from the time that she started the gym, she was 148 pounds when she walked in the door.
Right.
When she started, what were your numbers?
When I came in January.
So January 1 of 2019.
Right. My
Right.
numbers were crazy numbers. They were all 31s. So my weight was 131.
131 pounds.
Right. Yep. And my body fat was 31.1. My muscle mass was 28.8.
All right, so we had 31% body fat and 28% muscle mass. And what was the waistline at?
My waistline at that point
Be honest, guy,
was
right
31, right? Didn't we say
31
everything was
something.
31?
Yeah, so she had all 31. So 131 pounds, 31% body fat, and like a 31-inch waist. 31 and a half inch.
Yeah.
So now, after all that food, when we got to, this was back in March of this year?
This was 2019. 1/1/19.
So after a year, let's just say, let's go 1 year later, we were basically down almost 10% body fat. So that took her from a 31% down to a 21% body fat. All right.
Yeah.
Muscle mass
10%.
increased 6%. Meanwhile, no cardio, guys. No cardio,
Yeah,
and
cardio.
way more food, like 800 calories more a day, just lifting weights. And then the waist came down a lot. We were
Yeah.
a 31 and a half inch waist. She came all the way down. What was your lowest?
It's like 25 and a half.
25 and a half. So we, just in the waist area, we lost almost exactly 6 inches. So 6 inches of waist circumference down, body fat down 10%. And this is all no cardio and more food.
More food.
So this is Amy's whole process from just being like a person that like basically, now granted, her life habits have changed a little bit. She used to like go out and drink and eat on the weekends, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That stopped. She still gives herself a little reprieve on Saturdays where she kind of like basically about midday, a little later, early evening, the counting stops and she kind of allows herself some leeway to have a little freedom in her diet. That doesn't mean that she goes and blows it out of the water and has
Right.
3 pizzas and a gallon of
No.
ice cream, but she still does allow herself a little bit of freedom. But like Friday stopped, Sunday stopped, so she got right back on track with her numbers. She told herself, okay, I had my night and I'm going to go out and do my thing. When we were in here, cardio was down, weight was up, and that's all based off of what her goals were. I mean, you might be a different case if you're watching this, and you might need different types of attention, but I'm just trying, I wanted you guys to hear this from her, because this is a person that went from just being a gym goer for 20 years or so, slowly over time, no matter how much fitness there was in her life, weight still increased. Even tracking food, like tried a new gym here, lost some weight, but then eventually stopped. Weight loss stopped. And that stopped because your body is smart and it's trying to figure out how to exist on whatever few calories you're giving it. That's why a lot of these crash diets and fad diets don't work over time. Initially, they're great, but then you stop and that's the end. So
That's the other thing that I really like about counting macros is it's not a diet. It's what I eat. It's my diet. So nothing's restricted. If it can fit into my diet, into my numbers, then I eat it. If there's something that I'm craving or want, I wake up in the morning, pop it in my FitnessPal, then and move on with my day. And then a lot of times I will also put something in, it's not gonna work, take it back out. So they're all the little things that you learn as you go through the process, which a lot of my clients are learning right now. That didn't fit, but I ate it already. I had eaten it already. All right, well, tomorrow, don't eat it, track it first, then see if it fits. You just have to figure it out. But it's very doable. I did it. And and my training, I'm much stronger. I feel great actually. So, I'm looking forward to right now. I am squatting. I just squat at 190 pounds, 5x5, 5 times, 5 reps. I'm looking forward. I guess you could call it looking forward to hitting 200 pounds for reps, but 190 is rough. It's tough.
So on squats?
So squats.
Squatting almost 200 pounds. So, I mean, she's, weighing, what are you right now, around?
I'm at like I'm like 116 and a half right now.
Right.
To be
Lowest
exact.
weight was like 113 and a half pounds, but like, you know, we've added some food in
Yeah.
recently, so having a little weight fluctuations, a couple pounds here or there is not a big deal. But you know, 116 pounds, she's almost squatting 200 pounds for reps. I mean,
Yeah.
that's great when she started here. I mean, 135 pounds, even squatting what her current body weight was
extremely
hard.
difficult, yeah.
So I mean, there's been huge strength gains. And you know, I don't want to paint like a perfect picture here. Like, you know, we've had our struggles. I mean, just have times where she's been like, oh, I feel uncomfortable, or this feels sore, or whatever. And we've had a lot of those talks. And you know, as best as I can, I think as a coach, I've like tried to be like, you know, other than just telling someone to shut up, you know, I've helped walk her through what she should do, how she should handle herself, like, you know, what steps to take when things are, you know, you're getting a little discomfort, really hard, you know, how to kind of work on your mental toughness. And,
it's a mental game.
It's a big mental game. The whole thing is a mental game. So, you know, this is kind of the story of Amy Back and Amy Back Fit, and how she went from being who she was to who she is today. And I'd say, like, you know, guys, like, you know, you got to be realistic with your expectations and, you know, of yourself. Like, wherever you're at, like, you didn't get there overnight, and that might take a lot of corrective stuff. That might take corrective habits. It's all corrective habits, but like, you know, dieting habits, resilience, being resilient, having resiliency, and just, you know, trying over and over again to get to wherever it is you see yourself, because just sitting at home, you know, beating yourself up for where you're currently at and not taking any action isn't going to get you anywhere. So, what other advice do you think that you have for our viewers?
Not that much,
at home?
really. I just feel like, you know, a lot of my clients specifically will tell me, oh, I can't do it, I can't follow it, and you can do it. I did it. You just have to figure it out, what works best for you, and what works best for you might not be what works for me. I don't meal prep at all. I cook my food 1 day at a time, 2 days at a time, maybe tops. Some of my clients said, you know, they meal prep. So you just have to figure out what works for you. And what we're here to do is we're here to guide you and to tell you that you can do it. I did it. He's done it. I've done it. You can do it. That's really my advice. People that say, I'm glad that I went through this process, because now I can tell people you can. I know what they're going through.
Right. So like,
I know what you're going through.
So like when people like, you know, there's so many excuses, and there's like a million Instagram memes out there that talk about like, you're either going to find a way or you're going to find an excuse, and whatever, you know, they say or whatever, and that's so true. And like, I'm just going to put this out there, and this is kind of like the structure of like the bodybuilding pyramid a little bit. The number one thing that you have to focus on, your first priority, which Amy was able to do basically 20 some years ago, is adhere. Okay,
Yeah.
so adherence is like the number one thing. I don't care what it is that you're going to do. You're not going to get good at writing your alphabet unless you adhere to practicing it, right? You're not going to get good at math unless you adhere to practicing it. This is all practice. So, and I expect you to make mistakes. People always say, like, you know, practice makes perfect, and I don't agree with that. I think perfect practice makes perfect. So you got to be able to, you know, practice something perfectly and do it twice for something to be perfect. So, with that, like, you know, you got to adhere. So adherence is adhere to your diet. Even if in the beginning it's just calories, that's fine, but you have to start somewhere and you have to stick to it. After that, like I've heard people talk about hormones and certain foods give them certain types of responses and all like, it's really, really simple. I'm just going to give you some cursory stuff here. Like, if something doesn't agree with you, don't eat it. Like, you know, you wouldn't go and eat something that makes you feel sick. So if something makes you feel sick, or makes your stomach upset, or whatever, blah, 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 don't eat it. So that doesn't fit in your life. And, you know, people like to do all these diet trends that come out. Keto and intermittent fasting and paleo and whatever else that there is. With those things, it's still the same. Like, energy is still being expended one way or another. Granted, yes, there's different hormonal things going on in the background. But at the end of the day, your body is a machine that processes food for energy. So you're either eating more energy than you need or not enough energy. And when you're eating not enough, you're going to lose weight. You're eating too much, you're going to gain weight. It's very simple stuff. So number one, adhere. I wouldn't worry about all that hormonal stuff unless you know that you have a problem with your endocrine system, and that's a whole other conversation. But for most people, I'd say 80 some to 90% of the general populace, it just comes down to adherence and doing the thing. You know, you've got a person right here who did the thing, and like, you know, again, all the credit in the world to Amy for sticking to it, dealing with me as a coach, and
Yeah.
and you know, I know I'm tough, but like when you do the thing, I mean, you have this has been, I'll let her tell you, but in my opinion, from what our conversations are, 1 year has been the most transformative year in her entire fitness journey.
Yeah.
Out of all the 20 some years that she's been working out.
Yeah.
It's
100%.
1 year. You know, she had the most physical change, the most body fat loss, is the strongest she's ever been. I mean, like, if we're going to interject some pictures in this. I mean, like, you know, we have a joke about one of her pictures where she looks like a lunch lady. Maybe Allison could put that up on this right here. But like, I mean, if you even look at from when she started back in 2017 till now, it almost looks like she got younger.
Yeah,
You know what I
it
mean?
does.
Like, she looks better, she has more energy, she can do way more, she's physically way more adept and strong. And you know, for anyone that's into wanting to work out or change their life, I can only say that, like, you know, you just got to do the thing, man. You just got to, like, whatever it is in your mind, like, you're going to be your own worst enemy. You're going to defeat yourself before anyone else will.
Yep.
So, do you have anything else that you'd like to
I
share?
don't think so. I think that's it. I mean, you gotta stick to the plan. You gotta get a plan. You gotta stick to it. We're here to help you. My clients are having really good success. They were before all this craziness took place. But I speak to them.
COVID life.
I speak to them almost every day, and they're telling me that they're still doing it. They're looking forward to get back. They know they can text me, email me, whatever, call me, whatever. Anytime I'm there for them. And you know, you just got to do it. You got to stick with it. And you know, that's why it's called training. You have to
It's
train.
training. You're training yourself.
Training yourself.
Yeah. So that's
Do
it, guys. I mean, this is the Amy Back Fit
Story.
transformation story. Hopefully, you guys got some information out of it. If you want to reach out to us, you know, you can reach Amy either directly through us at Adam Olson Fitness, or you can reach out to her at Amy Back Fit. That's & Amy Back Fit. You know, we are doing online training videos now, so you guys can subscribe to that. Members of the gym here are already a part of that group, and we're starting to add more and more content, stuff like this, stuff I'm going to start going over a little bit more in detail, like if people have questions about, you know, certain things having to do with physics and load and moment arm and blah, blah, blah. I'm going to start doing those videos just for a little bit more of the people that want to get a little bit more nerdy about training. If you guys have questions about food, macros, et cetera, we can do online coaching. We can coach you through that. We can set up macros, but there are requirements that you're going to need. Like, you're going to need certain types of things at home, like a scale, a food scale, but a scale that maybe does your body fat, tape measure, things like that. If that's something of interest to you. But once again, thank you guys for watching. I appreciate your attention here. Thank Amy Back.
Thank you.
Amy Back Fit.
Yes,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
And we hope you guys are staying safe at home, and hopefully, you know, the COVID thing will, you know, blow over sooner than expected, but who knows as of right now. And we hope to see you guys on the interwebs and hopefully in person soon.
Yeah.
And I hope you guys are staying safe. Thanks again for watching. I'm Adam from Adam Olson Fitness. Amy Back Fit. And we'll see you in a small while.
All right. Thanks.